its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to the Ask the Experts show with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Enjoy being educated in such topics as personal injury law, community association law, family law, bankruptcy law, along with health show topics like pain management, men's health, and dental implants. Now, sit back and enjoy today's Ask the Experts with host Steve-O.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to another Ask the Experts. We're on every Monday and Thursday from 6 to 7 with South Florida's top experts. And tonight, I can actually call our guest an expert since she's board certified. She's been with us for over 2 years now. Family attorney Tina Lord. Hi there, Miss Tina.
Hello. How are you doing?
I love your hair. I mean, I know
Thanks.
It's lighter. No, it's your color or something. Anyway, you look gorgeous tonight.
Thank you.
How have you been? Because you know what? We haven't done a show in a while.
That's right. I've been extremely busy. Things are very busy in the family law and divorce world.
I told her to stop being so good. That's why she's so busy. You are a board certified attorney. Tell everybody what board certified means.
So to be board certified in the state of Florida means that you are an expert in that area of the law. So I think there's something like 32 different areas of law that an attorney can be board certified in, and that's the Florida Bar's only designation of an expert status. It means that you're a specialist in that area of the law. You have a high percentage of your practice that you focus on that particular area of law, and you've taken rigorous examinations. You've had judges and peers recommend you and refer you, and stood up to a very high ethics standards and things like that, and have a very high competency in that area of law. So I'm an expert, board certified, as you said, in family law, and been that way for, I think, gosh, how long? 12 years now, I think.
How long have you been practicing, Tina?
I've been practicing a little over 20 years.
Got a little experience there.
A little bit, yeah.
I got to ask you. Now, you're Zooming now, I guess, with a lot of your clients. Is that right?
Yeah, so I personally have continued to do Zoom this whole time. I'm doing Zoom for client meetings. I'm doing Zoom for mediations and depositions. We're doing Zoom for court. In family law, most of the proceedings, it's still required. I have heard that some judges will entertain or allow certain hearings to go forward in person with masks in the courtroom. I like Zoom. So
yes,
I like doing it. And, I think a lot of my clients like doing things this way too, because they can have a meeting with me, a conference, we can see each other's face, and without having to wear masks. And they don't have to drive anywhere. They can do it a little more easier to convenience-wise and schedule-wise to do a Zoom than it is to schedule a whole meeting, have to drive somewhere, have to find childcare, have to take off in the middle of the workday or things like that. So I think that some of the things that we do are going to continue to be done by Zoom or remotely in the future going forward because it works.
Tina, I know a lot of people have lost their jobs. I know a lot of people who are working at home, wife and husband. How is COVID changed your business besides now you're Zooming? What kind of problems do you see out there in family law?
So we're seeing a lot of, unfortunately, domestic violence cases. Those are on the rise. I think a lot of people, especially starting a year ago when people were really sort of locked down and staying home, and everybody was more staying home than they are now, people sort of cooped up, or I hate to say it, trapped with their abuser. Also, everyone myself included, no room for egos. I think we've all been affected by this emotionally. It's been tough. It's been tough to deal with. It's been tough to see, the state of the world change and losing so many people and having people lose their businesses and just all these terrible things. And it's worn on everyone. And I think has increased the tensions at home. And so I think abuse is on the rise. And so we've seen a lot of the domestic violence cases a lot more. We've seen, a lot of modifications, people coming back because they did lose their job and
Right.
they, afford their support payments, their alimony payments, child support. Some people have had like a temporary loss in their job or furlough. They got another job or came back. Other people have like outright lost their businesses for good and, haven't recovered from that. So there have been a lot of modification cases filed. And I think, I don't know the numbers or the statistics about divorces on the rise. I'm hearing that. Maybe COVID and this whole quarantine thing, I think some marriages survived and some didn't.
I got to tell you, most, we always get emails before your show, and I already know the answer to this, but a lot of them wanted to know about legal separation, which does not exist. But a lot of them wanted
Correct.
to know that. Is there a way to legally separate? And I guess really what it means is, can we have time away from each other legally?
Yeah. Yeah. No, in Florida anyway, some states have it, but in Florida, there's no statute or anything that sanctions what we would call a legal separation. If you're not living together, you're considered separated. If you're living together, you're not separated. And unfortunately, there's nothing that sanctions that. So it's either, you kind of do it voluntarily or you go full blown and file the petition for divorce. And I understand a lot of people, that's an emotional decision. So it's a lot to get to that point. Not ready to do that. But in Florida, if you're not living together, you're considered separated and there's nothing else beyond that.
You know what? We still get a lot of questions from grandparents. And I don't know if you get a lot of calls at the office, but grandparents wanting to have, rights to see their kids.
Yeah, once in a while I get a call about grandparents. And unfortunately in Florida, grandparents don't have any legal rights to have time sharing or custody, with the exception of the cases where you have parents that are unable to care for their children, sometimes addiction or different things like that incapacitate a parent, and the grandparents step in or are willing to step in and say, we want to have the state terminate this parent's parental rights or barely give the grandparents custody so they can watch out for the children as guardians while the parents get better. But other than that, grandparents don't, have any rights legally to pursue to get their own time sharing or their own space on the time sharing schedule.
Right. So, Tina, now with people losing their jobs, people being laid off, are you getting a lot of calls for the modifications?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think early in the pandemic, I saw a bunch of those because I think a lot of it, so some of the furloughs happened. Some of the companies, some of the larger corporations, they suspended pay or they reduced pay by a certain percentage. The larger corporations, I think, from what I saw, did that early on because they saw it coming and they were doing what they could to prepare. And some of them even asked their employees to voluntarily take a salary deferral, anything they could do to just try to help with cash flow. So I saw all sorts of things like that. And yes, there have been a lot of modifications because the same support numbers, especially the alimony, the alimony numbers in Florida are traditionally much higher sometimes than even the child support numbers. So I saw a lot of alimony modifications that are still ongoing. And, that's understandable.
Yes. What about relocation? I had several people ask about relocating. How do the courts decide when there's a relocation involved?
So what you're referring to is what we call the Parental Relocation Statute. Florida actually has a statute that governs when a parent wants to relocate. It's more than 50 miles away from their principal place of residence. And basically what the statute provides for is that they have to get either the court's permission to do that or the other party's permission, but that permission can't be verbal. It has to be like in writing, a whole new parenting plan outlining what's the new time sharing schedule going to be, how is travel going to be provided for, who's going to pay for it, when, why, who's going to do the driving if there's driving, or we're going to meet halfway, who's going to cover those costs. So if there's an agreement for the relocation, it has to be in a very detailed written contract. If there's no agreement and the other parent objects to the relocation, then a lot of these cases, I have one going on now that we're sort of in the middle of a trial. We've got some trial dates coming up in May, and the parent objects to the relocation, and so the judge has to decide. So what they do is they have a full-blown trial about, is this relocation of the children, so it's relocation of the parents with the children, is it in the best interest of the child? And that could mean a million things, right? So that could mean, is there a better environment, better neighborhood they're going to live in, better schools? Do they have more relatives in the new location? Things that the parent may have a really good job in the new location that trickles down to the children. So those are actually really, really can be very highly contested cases. The one I'm doing right now is going to amount to probably a 4-day trial over just that issue of whether or not that parent could relocate with the children.
That's a long trial.
Yeah, it is for family law. And there's a lot of issues. We get teachers and, psychologists and guardian ad litem and all that stuff involved to figure out what's best for these children. It's a big decision. But there's a statute that has guidelines and the things that outlines the things that the judge has to consider in making those decisions. And, there's no presumption against it. There's a statute that just outlines what the judge is supposed to consider. So, but it's a hard, those are hard cases because the judges do like to keep the parents together and maximize the children's time with both parents whenever possible. So, those are some really interesting cases when they pop up.
We're getting ready to go to break, and I want to say this. I truly, truly endorse, and I don't do this very often, I endorse Tina Lourdes. If you or a family member or a friend or, we hate divorces, but, if you have to do it, you want to have somebody who is really, really good. And Tina Lourdes is one of the best. I have learned so much from her, and people really who listen to the show love her show. Give everybody your phone number.
Sure. The phone number at the office is 544-6861. It's a 561 area code. We also have a website that has a lot of information on it about family law and divorce. It's lewertlaw.com, lewertlaw.com.
Okay, we're going to go to break, and we'll come back with more with Tina Lourdes.
Lewert Law Offices is proud to be the family law expert on the Ask the Expert show. Attorney Tina Lourdes is a board-certified specialist in marital and family law. Attorney Lourdes is committed to obtaining the best resolution for your divorce or other family law case by consistently providing skilled representation, expert legal advice, and personal attention. Attorney Lourdes has developed an excellent reputation for providing effective divorce and family law representation in Boca Raton and the surrounding communities. Lourdes Law Offices offers legal advice and representation in a wide range of family law matters, including divorce, child custody, time sharing and visitation, child support, alimony, complex asset distribution, post-judgment modifications, and paternity actions. For expert representation in all aspects of divorce and family law, contact Attorney Tina Lourdes today at 561-544-6861 or visit www.lewertlaw.com.
We're back. This is the Ask the Expert Show. I'm host Steve-O. We're here with Tina Lewert, attorney Tina Lewert, certified, board certified Tina Lewert. And that's important because, and you know what, I asked Tina this once before. It doesn't mean she's the most expensive because she's board certified. And don't let that scare you. But Tina, you know, there's people out there who think they can do this themselves. And those are the people who are walking around now going, I should have gotten an attorney. And I am telling you, there is so much that you need to know that you've already got in your head. You've got this long checklist. And people just don't understand. Do you see?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that true?
No, you're right. And I'm going to just make a statement, you know, in general. I think, and I think a lot of my colleagues believe or share this belief that, and so after doing this for more than 20 years, I think this is one of the most difficult areas of the law to practice as a lawyer. And it's not even because of, yes, it's emotionally charged and you see a lot of difficult things and all that. It's not even because of that. It's because there are so many issues that come up in these cases. Every case is different, but in any given divorce, you know, you have issues you're dealing with where you could have a child custody issue, mental health issues, drug and addiction issues, business valuation issues, taxation issues, alimony issues, distributing high valued assets. I mean, there's so many things that come up.
A lot of emotional issues too that other areas of law don't have.
Right. And you know, and a lot of the times, you know, if you have, emotional because it's emotional to begin with, you know, from a relationship standpoint, obviously it's the demise of you know, a relationship. So that's always difficult, obviously, but of course, no one's getting divorced because they're happy.
Yes.
So ultimately, we hope that we're helping people and we're helping them to move on to something better. And when I say goodbye to my clients after the final hearing in a divorce case and the judge finalizes the divorce, I tell them congratulations and they happily accept that at that point. And that's been, I mean, probably 100 or close to it % of my clients at the end of the case are just glad, you know, to be moving on to something better. But yeah, the emotional stuff is hard. And then within the case, we have a lot of emotional issues that become legal issues sometimes when you're dealing with child custody. And like I said earlier, the best thing for children, what's best for them, that can mean a million things. Sometimes you get a child psychologist involved or social investigators and reunification therapists. If there's a reunification of a parent and a child that's necessary, if one parent has alienated the other and the child and parent have a damaged relationship, there's so much and so much advice that I give to clients happily that are like, oh wait, I didn't even think of that. So yeah, you're right. It's not recommended to do it yourself or to try.
I just got an unusual text from somebody. This is really odd. She says, my daughter is 14. Can she decide who she wants to live with?
No, the short answer is no. So in Florida anyway, a child of any age under the age of 18 cannot decide. In the parenting statute that we have in Florida, it's Florida Statute 61.13, there's a list of factors that the court can consider. I think it's actually 20 factors. It's A through T, the letter A through the letter T. 20 factors that the court can consider in figuring out what's best for a child, what the time sharing schedule should be, which parent they live with, if they live with one parent more, which one is that, when, all that. And yeah, the preference of the child is one of those factors that may or may not be communicated. Sometimes they communicate that through, if we have a guardian ad litem or a social investigator, but still it's one of the things that's probably taken more lightly or more with a grain of salt, even because sometimes you have a child who, sure, they might want to be with the parent who is the lesser disciplinarian
Yes.
or the fun parent or whatever.
The fun parent.
Right. It's sort of like what child always knows what's in their own best interest anyway. So, sure, that could be communicated in certain ways by certain methods. The judges really don't let them come to court to testify. But if you have a guardian ad litem or a social investigator, that can be communicated, but it's still in conjunction with all the other factors, which usually take a bigger role in that determination.
You know, another text that we got from several people is about common law marriage. One person had lived together for 15 years. Doesn't matter, does it?
Not in Florida. So, and it's funny, I do get that question. I don't find people calling it common law marriage too much anymore, but I get that question a lot when I have consultations and they tell me, well, we've been married for 10 years, but we've been together for 17 years. And I have to tell them that, as far as the law relates to their case or how what the length of their marriage is determined as, the time before the wedding day is irrelevant legally.
Does mediation help?
Yeah, mediation is great. Now we especially in this area of the state, South Florida, a lot of the counties require mediation. Palm Beach County in particular has a local rule where they require you to attend mediation before you can get in front of a judge on almost anything, absent an emergency. So yes, we go to mediation. We utilize, a neutral mediator. A lot of the mediators that I use happen to be attorneys, so that way they sort of have the background, the knowledge, they know the law, they know the judges, they know the court system and how all this works. But with their mediator hat on, they can't give legal advice, even though they happen to be lawyers. That's what the parties have lawyers there for. So it's absolutely a very meaningful proceeding. And it's really usually, the best way or the better way to get things done, because you can be creative in mediation and kind of think outside the box and come up with negotiated settlements and creative solutions that maybe a judge can't even come up with because they're bound by, a little more black and white of the law. So yeah, mediation is great. And we do it in every case, sometimes 2 or 3 times.
Okay, Tina, tough question. But you've been doing this long enough, so I know you can answer it. Why should I retain your firm?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
You knew that.
I always like to ask that question. So our firm is small. It's just myself, and I have one other attorney that just joined us. She's got a lot of good family law experience, but we work as a team. And we give a lot of personal attention, especially now, especially with COVID, after working home, working remotely. I'm available. My clients have my cell phone number. Thankfully, my clients are very respectful about that. But, it's the way things are now, right? It's 2021.
Don't call her at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Well, once in a while there's an emergency or on a holiday or something. And I try to be there. But the one thing that we do that's very important to us is to give realistic advice. I don't like to have clients that have unrealistic expectations. I don't like to tell people what they want to hear. I want to tell them what I know the law is, what I think they can get, what I think they cannot get. Because if we do go to court, I want to have a successful outcome. So I don't want to pursue something that they want if I know they can't get it. So I'm very honest and candid with my clients about, if they have an unreasonable position, I try to manage that and guide them in the right way.
Well, that's a very good reason. Tina, you are like the best. I'm telling you, we've been doing this for over 2 years, and I love the way you explain things to people. You don't talk over their heads. And I'm so glad we have you as our expert, our family law expert. You'll be back with us again next month. And listen, have a wonderful week. And we love having you on the show. Give everybody your phone number.
Phone number is 561-544-6861, and the website is Lewert Law, Lewert, law.com.
It's Tina Lewert. We're going to go to break now, and then when we come back, we've got our next segment. We'll be right back. Thank you, Tina.
Thanks. Take care.
Lewert Law Offices is proud to be the family law expert on the Ask the Expert show. Attorney Tina Lewert is a board-certified specialist in marital and family law. Attorney Lewert is committed to obtaining the best resolution for your divorce or other family law case by consistently providing skilled representation, expert legal advice, and personal attention. Attorney Lewert has developed an excellent reputation for providing effective divorce and family law representation in Boca Raton